Hello, Tanse. Welcome to the first reading of This Canoe is Heavy. The reading by Grandmother Gentle Bear. This book is dedicated to family who are never far from my thoughts. Most of my life was with family on the land, a small village not far from the ocean side. We lived and harvested together. We looked out for each other. Some were good fishermen and some were great hunters. Others foraged, but many were good at all of it. We tanned hides together and turned the finished leather into tunics, pants, leggings, mittens, hats, and of course moccasins. We'd add rabbit fur to the trim to keep us warm. There's a harmony to this type of life and many rewards from the land. It's country food, growing almost everywhere. And in return for this bounty, we nurture the land, only taking what we need, learning every day and passing on these valuable teachings to the next generations. Ancestors showing the way. Young people know the land from birth, like old people inside of young bodies. Their intelligence is remarkable. Many happy moments seeing our youth teaching ancient ways to the small children. It becomes a natural flow, the time itself with all living things. If only it could stay this way. Travelers and visitors bring news from other villages along the coast. What families have had new babies, who has died, and new couples starting families. Travelers come in all kinds of colors, from far away places. We trade stories and goods like food, cloth, hides, moccasin, beads, and herbs. We only see their color when we first meet, but that soon fades away and you only see the person. Grandfather says, we are all human beings, and we all have a purpose, and we all have knowledge. But stories from other villages has roused some youth, and they want to paddle down the coast to meet young women. This can be very dangerous. Some villagers will welcome new, strong young men and want them to marry one of their daughters. But they will have to live in that village because the elders need help. Some young men will be allowed to take a young woman back to their home village. But some will be attacked and driven off, taken as a worker or killed. It's important to know which villages are friendly, and if you have family there, that helps. Otherwise, you might not make it back. There are many missing people that leave and never are heard from again. Some are taken from us by rough ocean storms with huge waves that capsize canoes and kayaks. Some go up coast and freeze to death in the winter cold, ill-prepared. Some go down coast, and you hear about them from time to time, and others just go missing. It's the way of the land. Nothing is forever. That's why passing on the knowledge is so important. Sadly, some people are lost, roaming around lost, with something in their head not right. compassion and pity for the vulnerable, I say. I'm thinking about becoming one of those lost people, but on purpose. Nothing wrong in my head and nothing wrong with my village life. I just feel the need to go into the forest and test my abilities and strengths. Some of the elders think I'm crazy, but in a good way. But they understand that at some point in life we all need to go out on our own. Maybe it's a vision quest. Maybe it's just to get away for a while. Almost a holiday. I'll miss teaching the young ones, and they'll miss me too. This is the way things are done sometimes. The kayakers are coming to shore with heavy loads of fish. Ocean fish like red snapper and cod, and sometimes salmon if they're running. The whole village has come to the shoreline to help with the catch. We will eat good again today. I watch the harmony of the villagers. They are my heartbeat. My family. No one is telling the other what to do. We all just know what to do. Most of today's catch will be eaten, but some will be smoked and dried for trail food and future rations. Once home, the fish goes right on the fire. Some cook on a hot rock at the fire and some on a stick. The smell of fish on the fire flows through the village, and children's laughter and old women recounting tales of fish runs that had smokehouses full and plenty of food for the winter. Spring was the only time we didn't talk about winter. And for most of the winter, we talked about the coming spring. Fish on the fire, a bit of wild wheat bannock, and a cup of tea. And now when I say tea, it could be fresh pine needle sprouts, boiled up, or yarrow. The tea could be birch bark, steeped in hot water. Or what have you. A light nap finds me dreaming of den stories with Grandmother Bear. She would make the tea, and we'd find a shade tree, and the tales were told till the tea ran out, or till we nodded off to sleep. She would say, I remember when all the young folks did most of the daily chores, and the elders would take care of the little ones and play games. We taught them the old ways, and about self-control and self-respect. If you live with these two rules, you will be a better person for it. Grandmother Bear would close her eyes and tell long ago stories of her grandmother, Gentle Bear, and the ancient portage trails that she walked as a child, long canoe trips for seasonal camps, and meeting up with friends and family at these camps. Seasonal camps to hunt and fish and prepare for winter stores. This canoe is heavy, was often heard on long portage trails that seemed to go on forever. And along the trails, the women and children would forage for berries and wild greens. Some young people would get a brush grouse if their arrow was true. You weren't just taking the trail, you were living on the trail. It wasn't about getting somewhere, it was the life along the trail that mattered, and it was a great life. Some portages were so long that we camped a couple times along the trail. Well-used camps. Some even had ancient graves. Elders usually that went to sleep along the trail and at a camp and didn't wake up. Grandfather said they went to sleep with a smile because their ancestors were waiting, and they were waiting on the other side, and their journey was just beginning. Grandfather would then say, "The ancestors watch over us and keep us on the true path. If your heart is true, you will know when they are near." And Grandmother Bear continued, "Sometimes you'll see them on the edge of the forest, like a mist, like a vision. Sometimes you'll hear them, the drums drumming like a heartbeat, your heartbeat. Other times you'll look away and then look back, but you've missed it. Best not to look for them. They are always there, all around us, but sometimes their memories are so strong that they almost appear and we almost see them, those loving spirits." Most of these den tales and ancient stories are put in my memory, and I retell them to the children. Some I've heard many times, but love to hear them anyways. Others are told late at night in a hush around the fire when the children are asleep. Children sleeping, not hearing scary stories. And they'll be afraid of the bush if they hear them. When they're older, they can hear them, these brush encounters, and they'll live inside their own tales and their own trail stories, and they will retell their own bush tales around the fire late at night, and the listeners will nod because they know, and the elders will sit quiet, close their eyes, and thank the Creator that they lived to tell the tale. It does take a village with all its generations. Oral history is all we have at the end. Those who remember, those who lived it, and those who can still recall the ancient tales. Everyone has their way of telling old tales. You'll know if they stray too far from the truth. The old women will laugh and say, "Oh, is that how it happened?" We often find drawings on rocks and rock walls, on overhangs or in caves. We are told they were left by our ancestors long ago. Not much is remembered about them, but we know that they lived. And like us, we still live too. Following trails for hunting, moving camps, seasonally, and raising families along the way. You can hear the villagers calling for everyone. The hunters got 2 moose, and the whole village will eat well tonight and for many nights to come. And of course some will be smoked and dried, and the trail food, and in case of lean times, even the village dogs are happy. A few bones might find their way to them. It doesn't take long, and the animals are portioned for each family, and the 2 large hides will be tanned by whichever family needs them. We gather in the village hut where we give thanks. Meat is cooking over the fire at the center of this large space, and this space is now filled with family and friends. The hunters are telling their tales of their hunt, how far they went, what animals they saw, and how they ate grouse over the fire, and how the young hunters did what they were told and learned some hunting lessons. Lessons passed down over time, like how to read the trail, the tracks, the wind, the weather, and to smell the air. How patience will win over any aggression, except an angry bear. The stories and laughter went on after dark and made my way to my corner of the family hut, and I welcomed a good sleep with a full stomach. A large moose hide was laying on a bear fur hide to pull me over, and happy sounds to fall asleep to. happy dreams. I think we're going to end our reading for today. And we will thank Grandmother Gentle Bear for her reading. And we'll see you again for the next reading in a day or two. Mosito, thank you for coming. And ask any questions in the comments. Like, subscribe. It helps to bring more stories forward. And if you have stories to share, share them. We'd love to hear them. Until next time.